Okay, welcome. Beyond the 90, Kartik Krishnaiyer here. Daniel Feuerstein cannot join us today. And so just want to, and quite frankly, I'm recording this before a huge night of USL Championship action. I'm leaving shortly for my duties with Miami FC. Big match between Tampa Bay and Charleston, and it's been very interesting to track how many people are now suddenly interested in the USL Championship because of the CBS contract and how many people are watching the USL instead of watching MLS. So that's given us more to do with Beyond the 90. And before we get on to the US matches, both on the women's and men's side, I want to mention big semifinal tonight in NPSL, FC Motown, who's one of my favorite clubs in the country. In fact, I was wearing an FC Motown shirt when my father died in my arms a little over a year ago. I'm a big fan of theirs. In northern New Jersey, hosting at Drew University in the semifinal, Columbus United FC from Columbus, Georgia, which is one of the best stories in American soccer this year. First year club in the Gulf Coast Sunshine Conference, which is the NPSL conference I cover and have worked in the past. And they've made it all the way to the national semifinals. And as I said, they're playing FC Motown tonight. So check that out if you're at home and you're not inclined to watch USL tonight. So let's talk about the United States and their 4-1 victory over New Zealand on the men's side on Saturday afternoon. This was a comprehensive effort. I felt like it was a good bounce back match after the France match, where I felt we played well, and we talked about this with Daniel the other day. We played well for large portions of the match, but were ultimately undone by some concentration lapses and tired legs later in the match. I do think one player I singled out for criticism on Wednesday, Miles Robinson, did not have a particularly good game again today. In fact, I think he was the worst U.S. player of the first 11, and certainly we saw some significant impacts off the bench, especially in the attacking area. So probably, again, the weakest link for the United States for me. And for an overage guy, that's a concern. I think Marko Mitrovic has a clear concept of what he wants to do with this team and how he set them up coming into the tournament, which is why he made the 3 overage selections he did. Unlike a lot of times in U.S. soccer in the past, it's just haphazardly putting together who we think are the best players. Mitrovic has a clear concept of where guys should plug in and how he wants us to play, which is why I think this ultimately is going to be a very successful tournament, as we saw today. But Robinson doesn't seem to be pulling his weight. The left side of attack today was really good. Paxton Aronson shifting over there for much of the match. Very good. Mihalovic linking the play. Tanner Tessman, again, played more as a 6 today, shielding that back 4. And he was very good again. And Tolkien, who Daniel mentioned the other day, he had a standout match. And Walker Zimmerman really showed his leadership skills today. Busio, we hope he's okay with that injury, but he was very good. Let me address Duncan McGuire, who seems to not fit this particular style of play. Troubled first match because he was isolated and cut off as we were defending in 2 banks of 4, and depending on Mihalovic to link the play with him. Today, with a more dynamic attack, with Mihalovic playing a blinder, with Aronson, Paredes, and Busio all peaking, and just the kind of movement we were getting off the ball. He being kind of stationary, it was almost like they were playing around him. So that was something that I'm sure the coaching staff, Mitrovic and the rest of the coaches have noticed. And we'll see if potentially we see a change, whether it's Griffin Yao maybe playing as more of a false 9, or something else. It could be Taylor Booth, right? Either of those 2 guys playing as a false 9 in the next match against Guinea, which is a match we have to get something from to advance. But then when McGlynn came on for Busio, Yao and Booth, who I mentioned, really dynamic movement off the ball, crisp passing moves, finding space, the ability to kind of play nice little neat passing triangles, and the sorts of things that you don't often see from U.S. sides. So this was really, really impressive in that sense. And it got more impressive as the match went on. Quite frankly, 4-1 is a flattering scoreline for New Zealand. I mean, we could have won this match 7-8-1, something like that. Very, very comprehensive effort. And as I said, maybe Mitrovic has a decision to make. If not for the Guinea match, for the potential quarterfinal match after that, which is going to be against one of Argentina, Morocco, Ukraine, or Iraq. Very tough group that is. Whoever comes out of that group in first, we likely play, and it could be any of those countries. Now, of course, there's also the possibility France slips up and we catch them, but I wouldn't count on that. So, great effort today. Let's talk about the women. Obviously, tomorrow against Germany is the biggest game of the group stage of the tournament, I think, on either the men's or the women's side. And these are two countries that have combined to win 6 women's World Cups. So this is the pedigree of the pedigree. Obviously, this is the Summer Olympics, not the Women's World Cup. But these are the two of the historic elite nations in world football on the women's side. I was a little concerned about the opening match. We were very good in the first 25 to 30 minutes against Zambia, and obviously we know the kind of threat Zambia poses. Anyone who watches NWSL knows that Barbara Banda is one of the best players in the world. So there is a threat on the counterattack for Zambia. But I think Zambia found counterattacking space and gaps in our defense much too easily. And after the injury to Lynn Williams, I felt like we didn't create as much in the second half as we should have. Obviously, we were 3 goals to the good at that point. But Corbin Albert, she wasn't. She came out on halftime. She didn't do much for me. Obviously, there's the desire to rest with that lead, to rest both Lavelle and Haran. And we know Lavelle, you have to manage her minutes. And Emma Hayes did that. And I think she's being smart about smart women management, about who she took off, Mal Swanson, Trinity Rodman, who are your main attacking threats after the injury to Sophia Smith, because you can't afford another injury. But I think tomorrow is a big ask, and we're gonna have to play a lot better, and hopefully we do. So I'm gonna leave it here. Enjoy tonight's matches, USL, NPSL, whatever you're watching. Maybe you're watching Wrexham and Vancouver or some other summer friendly. I'm not sure we'll be back tomorrow, honestly, after that game. That's such a big match. I don't necessarily know. Daniel and I want to do hot takes. Maybe we'll be back Monday to properly analyze that match. And we will keep you glued in during this Olympic football tournament. Oh, one last thing. NBC is covering this tournament better than they've covered previous Olympic football tournaments. So for the first time, NBC is treating football, soccer if you prefer, but it's called football in the Olympics, so let's call it football, like it's a serious sporting event, a serious competition. In the past, I think they've really given us the back of the hand with this sport. Joe Spate, Tim Howard, excellent commentary for both the U.S. men's games. Obviously, John Champion, Julie Foudy doing the women's side. That's fantastic, and pretty good coverage of other aspects of the men's and women's football tournaments as well. The Argentina-Morocco game, we know how that ended on the men's side, and they had proper coverage of that. Previously, if something like that had happened in football, it would have just been, whatever. It's a throwaway sport in the Olympics. We know Americans may be focused on these other events. So props to NBC. Maybe after a decade of covering the Premier League, or now 11 years of covering the Premier League, they're entering year 12. They have really figured out what makes this sport tick, and I want to give them full marks for that. Anyway, we'll be back with you real soon. Thank you for continuing to patron Beyond the 90.